All right. We are back with the bubble business. Everything about making bubbles, guys. Thanks for being here. No, okay. So the business bubble episode, I believe it's episode 4. Yeah. And this is going to be the episode where we talk about the next steps or the best next first steps at Hubble. If you guys didn't know, well, maybe you can check out the latest episode, the one that was released before. It basically talks about Hubble and how it is the first attempt at building a business that I have with other people, and it's actually quite a big project. So just check that out if you haven't checked it out. But anyway, this is the episode where we talk about the next first steps at building Hubble. And, well, I say the next first big steps because they are, number one, pretty premature in the sense that we don't really have, like this business thing like going on, and we don't have a product per se. We just have like services, but we are almost done with the platform. We basically just have a functional platform right now for an MVP. And second of all, I think that we are moving. We're going to be moving pretty fast in the next days. And why? Because the semester is going to end. Yes, thank goodness, and amazing grace and amazing joy. Thank goodness that the semester is going to end. I am really happy because, as you guys might have noticed, my passion is not computer science. It's business, definitely. It's all of this different jazz. Okay, so what are we going to do at Hubble? What is going to happen? Okay, first of all, I have to tell you guys that I want to talk about 3 big points. Number 1 is legality. Number 2, transactions. And number 3, early adopters. Okay, so I really want to touch on the legality of the whole project. And this is where we have to talk about AUGE. AUGE is an accelerator for brother, I guess, a sister institution called UCR, which is like the biggest university in the country. So they have this like venture capital event or process. I mean, I think it's a program. Yeah, it's a venture capital program called PITS, and it's for startups and small projects. And we tried to get into that, So we really didn't need the money per se. And now that I look back into it, you have pros and cons. You have to be always thinking about your investors, about your shareholders, and making them happy, of course. And that's something that's very delicate. However, it would have been nice to have the money. It's not like 100% necessary because, as you have maybe noticed by now, we're pretty lean. We don't really use a lot of machinery. We don't have a product. We don't have to spend a lot of money per month. And everything is just basically up there, It's internet. It's internet, and it's on your phone, and it's in a computer. So in that aspect, we're not desperate for the money, but it would have been nice, maybe for, I don't know, something, probably something. You know what? I think like the thing that would have been most logical thing to do, it would have been to sort of hire through professional services someone who knows about administration or design or marketing or legal issues or something like that. Okay, so what I basically want to touch upon this is that AUGE and PITS, basically, this program, they let us go into their headquarters for some reason to just like have a chat, talk, see how it's going, because it's like basically the end of the process by now. So at the end of the process, you can like go and talk with experts about the industry and legal matters, and of course, just different people who have been in the game for a pretty long time, and they give you their opinion, and they give you like some key points that you should take and stuff. So we talked with this one guy. I really forgot his name right now. Well, his name is Raul, but I forgot his last name. The thing is that this guy, he is a startup founder as well, and he works at AUGE. So it basically means that he really knows a lot about what we do, because he also works in the same kind of like the same space. It's like digital it's basically a platform that lets you sort of like hop on other people's ride, and it's sort of like an Uber pool, but different. It had something different. The thing is that guy knew a lot about the industry, and he really hit us hard in the sense that he basically told us that our weak point was that we don't really have a differentiating factor, which means that we're pretty much the same as all these other different freelancing sites like Workana or Fiverr or GradBee. Well, maybe that's not a very popular one, but what he basically said was that our differentiating factor, as we were framing it, it was the students. The students were the ones who were going to complete the tasks for the companies, and therefore the companies would have to pay less for a good job. But what he said was that it really doesn't matter if it's a student or not. Like you could just go into Fiverr or Workana and basically hire people and pay them less. I kind of disagree on that end. But then he said something that really struck me. That was actually having students is a liability. It's actually a bad thing because people are not going to be as confident to put the work that they need in the hands of a student that is actually learning it. And as we said it, we were like, no, we're pretty confident that people at tech can develop these kinds of things, but maybe, just maybe some people are going to be like, trying to like not really get involved with us because of that, but oh well. So he really told us that our differentiating factor was not there and that we needed one ASAP. After that beating, we went into a room with a lawyer. So this lawyer, she has a lot of experience, as I could tell, and I don't know, it's just like fun to talk to her. She was very alarming and very panicked about a lot of things because she's a lawyer and she sees danger. As she told us, my job is to sense danger and to tell you where the danger is. Just tell you where your liabilities and your weaknesses are. And that's exactly what she did. She basically told us that we had a really tough thing to deal with. Okay, so being a startup means that you are a company that by definition is disruptive or is doing something different. Is doing a new thing that not a lot of companies have really done in the past. And because of this, you are breaking paradigms and you're going to be hitting against some pretty interesting walls. And those walls are, in most cases, legal walls, just like Airbnb or Uber, or at its time, some of the other companies that were rising up. It happens and it's something normal. But in Costa Rica, it is very freaking interesting because we have a very big government. If you guys didn't know, we need to pay a lot of taxes for the Social Security, and it's universal, by the way, so that's why it's a lot of taxes. And not only that, if you have a relationship between someone who is, for example, a boss and an employee, it doesn't really have to be called like that, but if you just have somebody who is giving orders to somebody else and who is also paying that person to do that, that is by definition subordination, and that is taxable. So therefore, we will have to deal with that, number one. And she also told us that because we're using a vulnerable area of society, a vulnerable demographic known as the students, then we should have a lot of caution with that because, headlines are not going to be pretty for us if something bad happens. But oh well. After that, she also told us that we really had to think about what would happen in the event of a mistake or just negligence. Maybe the student we thought that was going to perform very well, maybe he just didn't deliver. Maybe he, got into an accident and didn't really deliver. What happens with the money? What happens with the time? We thought from an initial standpoint that if we just put a disclaimer at the very beginning of everything, at the, the main page, then everything was going to be okay. We would say like, okay, this is a platform the service that we're providing. And if you want to get into this, sure you can. Just be very careful. Mind your own business. Mind you that you should not be putting stuff that are risky here, that you really need and that could go wrong. What you want to put in here are things that, one, anybody could do, but you just don't have the time. Two, something that people at tech know how to do. So it doesn't have to be like 100% easy. It just has to be like a little bit technical. And that maybe your organization really doesn't know how to do stuff. And it happens sometimes with design specifically. And that's basically what we try to do. But then she presented us with this case, the famous Amazon case. And she told us, like, you know what Amazon does? Amazon is responsible for all of their products. If something goes wrong in any of the transactions or anything, it's Amazon's fault. That also includes the the suppliers. If the supplier that has nothing to do with Amazon just puts their product on their page, if something happens with that, if something bad happens, Amazon is the one responsible. So, oh my goodness, it's like a really big responsibility. It's a big thing that we have to think about. It's either that or we put a huge disclaimer on the front of our page that says we are not responsible for anything that happens whatsoever. And that really creates discomfort. That is not going to generate confidence in somebody, just as a first glance, of course. So we have to be atomic. Either we go all in or we don't. Pretty binary, in my opinion. And honestly, I think that it is possible. It doesn't mean that we're halted. It doesn't mean that we're going to be, stopped because somebody told us that it's going to be hard. No, of course not. That's not what an entrepreneur is, right? An entrepreneur is not the person who flails at the first sign of danger or the first sign of trouble. He actually fights it and thinks of ways of how to get around it or how to cope with it. I think that's what an entrepreneur is, and I really want that. A good thing was that the team was not very fazed at this whole situation. I thought they were going to be more emotional about it and they were going to get down and things, but turns out I talked with them and just like right after that and after some days, and they were pretty good. Honestly, they really surprised me, especially one of them that I will not mention right now, just for reasons. No, but we're really great friends, and I'm very happy that I am in a team with such amazing people. So that's what happened at Auge, at the PITS process or event, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so this basically leads us to really think about what we're going to do when we get out. And that's going to be very soon, because very soon we're going to be out in the sense of out of the semester. And I'm just very excited about it, Well, we have to think about different things, as I mentioned. One, legality, which is basically everything that I just talked about with Pitts and that lawyer. Two is transactions. Now, this is something that we just discussed, by the way, and it's how we're going to perform the transactions at the beginning. Now, I talked with the professor. The professor is, of course, the oldest of in the group, and I basically talked about the lean startup. The lean startup method described by Eric Ries, and he really liked it. It's so crazy how people just don't read like amazing books like that, and they stay with the old models. However, I talked about the book and basically gave him a quick summary about what it was all about, and he was delighted. I honestly could tell. He understood, he learned from me, and that really felt great. I felt great to be able to teach something to an older person who was way more experienced in life than I was, because I had a piece of information that was very valuable, and he took it to heart. He really understood it, and it seemed logical for him, and I'm like, yeah, it is pretty logical, So I don't know, I just felt great about it. And that led us to think about how are we going to perform transactions in the platform, especially at this very early stage, because at the early stage, as the lean methodology defines it, you have to look for early adopters. And this was the third thing that I want to talk about. So those early adopters are the ones who are going to use your MVP, which is the minimum viable product for those of you who don't know. And it's basically just like this piece of product or this little piece of service that is going to serve you in order to validate your hypothesis. It's going to say, okay, you're going in the right direction or you're not. And that is done with minimum resources. That's why you need early adopters, which are basically a niche of a niche of a very small number of people who really meet your criteria for using the MVP, who are going to be also more forgiving about all the lack of features that it has. And based on what they say, you measure what they do. You basically analyze what they think about it. And you see if it's actually possible, if it goes into a good, direction. That's what we want to do right now. And since we want to be as lean as possible, I don't think that paying a lot of things for maybe a corporation or some weird legal thing that is going to let us perform transactions in a more formal way, I don't think that's like the best way to go, because one, we don't really know if we're going to change it later on in the future, and that's going to cost us a lot of money and a lot of time. And second of all, I think that because our early adopters right now, we're thinking that are going to be small to medium-sized businesses, but preferably small businesses in the sense that we can actually talk with the owner. So because our early adopters are so small and so personal, we just, at least for me, I just don't see the value in spending a lot of money, a lot of time in this huge mechanism and platform that all of these formalized companies have in order to perform transactions. So I just thought, maybe you could one-on-one talk with them, maybe use this application called Simpe Móvil, which is basically an app that lets you deposit money through basically through only a telephone number. So that seems way better for me than spending a bunch of money on a bunch of that. And that's basically what we were trying to do. Now, our incubator and our accelerator at the same time has people in charge. And one of them is called Rita. Now, Rita is basically the top boss there, I guess. And what we thought about was for the professor to ask Rita and just see what was the best way to go. Maybe we're grossly overestimating what it is to be an LLC, or maybe we're underestimating it. I don't know. We really need more information on that, and Rita can provide that for us. And it's pretty good. We also have a pretty good relationship with our incubator and our accelerator, even though they did not give us the right company or guidance at this whole PITS thing. We basically had to figure out for ourselves a lot of the things. We really didn't feel, supported that much. However, we're still in good terms, and I really like that. I really think that small bad experiences are not going to make you stop talking to somebody. It's just one thing, and it is solvable. So yeah, we're basically on that end right now. And after talking about the early adopters, we really need to talk about the first HUBBLE services with co-creators. So if you guys didn't know, first of all, listen to the last one, dang it. But if you guys didn't know, our first three kind of services are going to be one, design, which is most probably going to be logo design. Number two, geographical referencing systems for forests and forest engineering, which is a pretty specific thing. I'm really excited about that one because it's like very specific, very technical, and the guys who were talking about it and who are helping us, basically the co-creators, they are really nice and they really know how to explain it and deliver it, and they're really nice. I really like that one meeting that we had. And with the design part, they were really nice as well, honestly, but they were just like two people, or like, yeah, maybe just like two people who are talking about it, but still, we feel very supported on those ends. Our idea was for the third service to be something regarding computer science or software engineering. However, it seems like it's going to be a little hard at the beginning. And we were looking at maybe some other options for services, to start off. And so, okay, this is a pretty interesting story. Costa Rica right now is living through a time of déficit fiscal, which it means basically deficit. And that means that everybody is tightening their belts. Everybody is spending less or trying to spend less because the money is in debt. And one of the things that the government is doing to help this situation is to create a new tax called el impuesto de valor agregado, which basically taxes services and a lot of the service, basically every service ever. That includes Netflix, by the way. I think it also includes Airbnb, but I'm not really sure. And of course, we fall into that category. But not only us, a lot of medium-sized and small and big businesses fall into that. Now, when you do the accounting for that, I don't really know how that goes. However, it is something that you have to do every month. And our students at the business management school in tech, we're pretty sure that they can do that. It's not something that it's hard. It's just that people might be just way too lazy to do. And maybe they trust somebody else to do it for them. They just have to check it out, and voila. That's the service. We're trying to look, basically what this is all about is that we're trying to look for the service that is going to provide us for constant cash flow every month. That is something that is very hard to get because, design, companies needed some, here and there, but it's not going to be like monthly. It's not something monthly that companies are always going to be needing. And with the part of forest, well, I'm not really sure about the forest and engineering industry, but I'm betting that it's not that concurrent, and it's not going to provide that cash flow that we really want. So that's why we were thinking about going into business administration. This whole area that businesses have to declare and basically make their numbers every single month. And that is where the idea struck us with this new tax. This new tax is going to be activated, or I don't know how you say it, but basically imposed, I guess. It's going to be imposed by August. So, it's like the perfect timing to get out with the platform and just try it out, see if it works or not. It's just something like very perfect, something that happened, like planets aligned, I guess, for this. And we're just going to try it out. We see an opportunity, we're going to try it out. We don't really have a lot to lose here. As I mentioned, we're pretty lean. If a service is not going to be used, it's just going to be, one more record in a database, and that's it. Just nobody uses it. We didn't lose money, performing it. So yeah, this is what's going to happen later on at HUBBLE, the very next first steps. And I'm super excited, super, super pumped up about this. I can picture myself walking, the city of Cartago, which basically that's where tech is, asking, small businesses and medium-sized businesses if they need either forest engineering things, design, which I think is going to be, most probable, and 3, something regarding with the new business administration thing. And that's going to be basically it. So thank you very much, guys, for listening to this episode. I don't know, just thank you for listening. Thank you for joining the journey, I guess. And hopefully I'll be getting back to you guys very soon. So thanks. Take care. God bless you. Bye-bye. See you later in the next one.